How do you replace a generational talent like Trent Alexander-Arnold? Now, could a player brought from Dungannon under 18s in Northern Ireland be Liverpool's next superstar right back? In this episode, we'll break down whether Trent Alexander-Arnold can really be replaced by Conor Bradley, and do Liverpool need to buy a right back? And if so, who's the perfect fit? Liverpool's home game against Chelsea last season was one of Conor Bradley's breakthrough games, and you can see he demonstrated a lot of traits that could replace Trent Alexander-Arnold next season. The athleticism, the ability to support the attacking play, and then that ball striking ability. And we saw it in the cross and the goal that he had in this game. And in this specific clip, it's Diaz who just wins that ball in the middle, gets nicked from Caicedo, and you can see that Conor Bradley already spots what's about to happen, makes that movement forward away from Sterling, and that's where Ben Chilwell just overcovers in that central area and just doesn't really keep an eye out for Conor Bradley, who's supporting on the overlap. And Diaz carries the ball, plays a lovely weighted ball into Conor Bradley's path, and that's where he just nestles this into that bottom left-hand corner. Pure striking ability, lovely technique on the finish, and it's something where you can see Trent just in a similar position doing the exact same thing. And it wasn't just the goal, the assist in that game was just as impressive. And if you look at the clip here, it's Badiashile that's trying to close Conor Bradley down after a switch of play. And this is where he differs a little bit from Trent Alexander-Arnold. He likes to take players on, whereas Trent will probably try and recycle this ball, try and find that early cross into the box. But Conor Bradley decides to take on Badiashile, just drives at him, 1v1, little step over and shift. But the impressive thing here is not just that he beats Badiashile. The cross is really tricky. You know, the angle that he has to cut this ball back with whip, with pace, and on the run, with the ball bobbing in a little bit. The technique is beautiful. Just cuts underneath it, really drives it into the center of that 6-yard box. And it's a great header from Dominic Szoboszlai. Where Bradley shines is the progressive carries, the take-ons, whereas Trent might try and play the pass. Conor Bradley is just as comfortable, as you saw against Badiashile, taking players on down the outside. But it's not just his attacking ability that shows why he could be Liverpool's right back in the long term. He's actually a better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold. And this famous clip of him tackling Mbappe, everyone's seen it. But the most impressive thing here is not the tackle. And if we jump into the clip, you can see Mbappe's on the move, on the counter-attack. It's still 0-0, pivotal moment in the game. And you can see Mbappe makes that run and it's McAllister tracking him. And the most important thing here, even in this first still, you can see Conor Bradley's reading the play. You know, in an unnatural centre-back position, he doesn't just sit in that position waiting for the attack to develop. He sees what's about to happen. He knows Mbappe is going to absolutely blitz McAllister and he's going to have no hope of being able to keep up with him. So he gets across quickly, gets into a beautiful covering position, good distance of support from McAllister. And on that first touch, he bursts past McAllister, but he just doesn't see Conor Bradley on that cover. And it's a beautiful read of play, beautiful timing of tackle, absolutely clatters through Mbappe, let him know he's there. And you can see he won that sort of 1v1 battle in the game. This is where Conor Bradley outshines Trent by far. Look at the percentage of dribblers tackled. Trent Alexander-Arnold is in the 7th percentile. You know, that's just nowhere near good enough for a modern day fullback. You know, he's got away with it because of the attacking output, which we'll come on to in a sec. But that percentage of dribblers tackled, in that ability to read the game, just be solid from a defensive perspective, is definitely an upgrade on Trent Alexander-Arnold. You got to remember that he's only 21 years old. He's got that room to develop. And you can see the key differences between the two players. That progressive passes, that's where Trent is one of the best in the world. Probably one of the best at Liverpool to be able to play these kind of passes from right back. And he's able to have this different risk profile to Conor Bradley. You know, he's able to make these instant passes over the top, the type of crosses he does from deep. You know, Conor Bradley probably can strike the ball well, but he doesn't have that risk profile as Trent Alexander-Arnold does. Since the start of the 2018-19 season, he's top of any player from right back. You know, we can't underestimate how good he has been. Look at the names below him. Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah, Bruno Fernandes, and James Maddison. You know, and he's just far and away one of the best right backs that has graced the Premier League. But one of the key issues about whether Conor Bradley can replace Trent Alexander-Arnold is his injuries. If you look at the 23-24 season, he missed 31 games out of the whole season. And this season, he's already missed 16 games. And the worry is, last season, you could probably argue that he's adjusting to the pace of the Premier League, the type of system that he's playing in, how physical it is from a Klopp system. This season with Slot, it's just as physical, but this time he's picking up muscle injuries. And that's a worrying thing to be thinking about. Can you rely on Conor Bradley in terms of the long-term prospects? Although he's definitely an upgrade on Trent Alexander-Arnold from a defensive perspective, that 1v1 ability definitely needs some refinement moving forward. If you look at the game against Nottingham Forest at Anfield, where Nottingham Forest won 1-0, the winning goal came down Conor Bradley's side. The ball was switched out to Hudson-Odoi down that left-hand side. And this is where, as a right back, you need to be able to know what the opposition likes to do. Hudson-Odoi here just wants to go on that inside on his right foot. He needs to be more aggressive with his body positioning, show him down the line, and then be ready to move as he moves. But he just doesn't get into that right stance, doesn't get low enough, doesn't show him down the right avenue of attack. And he allows Hudson-Odoi to cut in. It's a great finish, but they all looked around at Conor Bradley as soon as that went in. And you know what he has to do here. You know what Hudson-Odoi wants to do, and he just needs to be a bit more clever about how he defends certain situations, especially when they're coming onto his weak foot inside. But if Liverpool do decide to buy a right back this summer, who should they buy and what kind of impact would that have on the team? Now, the one player mentioned time and time again that could replace Trent Alexander-Arnold is Jeremie Frimpong. And you can see why when you look at his FBref radar. But you have to be careful when you're assessing data because his attacking output is insane. But they're comparing him to other fullbacks over the past year's worth of data. But he plays nowhere near the fullback position. He's a wingback by trade, probably closer to a winger. He's played winger ahead of a fullback at times for Bayer Leverkusen. And that's why his attacking output is always going to be in the higher percentiles compared to other fullbacks. His defensive data, there's no point looking at it because that's not his job. His first job is not to defend in this Bayer Leverkusen team. But what he does bring in terms of his individual skill set, you can see progressive carries, successful take-ons, and especially that threatening running behind off the ball that he's able to do as well. But like I said, he's a wing-back, and you're going to have to change exactly how you play compared to the current season under Slot. Trent is a different kind of player, and then when you add in Mo Salah potentially leaving, which we'll come on to later, you're going to have to think of the type of winger that you would buy that could fit well with someone like Jeremie Frimpong. You probably want to settle back free with Frimpong being given the license to move up and down that right wing and more of an inside forward maybe that tucks in into those central areas and can link play compared to Salah who likes to stay out wide. And that's why Frimpong would have to probably cause quite a big change in how Liverpool set up and would probably have to consider quite a lot of other things if you're trying to buy him, including the impact on Conor Bradley's development. Now, the second option is to buy that rotation option, not that first team star that might impact Conor Bradley's development, but someone you can rotate in and out in case he gets injured or loses form or just needs to be taken out of the limelight. Someone that's quite experienced, used to the Premier League, and I've picked out Ola Aina. You know, he's coming towards the end of his contract in the summer. They think they have a year to extend his contract, which, you know, you could probably buy him a lot cheaper than Jeremie Frimpong and still have a good quality right back. And if you look at his FBref radar, doesn't look all that amazing. He's good at take-ons. He's good at those progressive carries, similar to Conor Bradley. You know, that 1v1 defensive ability is probably what you're buying him for, though. And then you could potentially buy someone like Kirkes on the other side and have more of a settled back free, and then that left back that bombs up and down that left wing. There's so many different tactical options that you could have. Ola Aina would be a great fit. Premier League ready to step in terms of his experience. And then he would offer that ability for Conor Bradley to have those first team minutes and develop his game at the same time. So who should replace Trent Alexander-Arnold? And the main problem with this question is no one can replace Trent Alexander-Arnold. The underlying numbers for the expected assists, the chance creation, you're not going to get anywhere near that from one player. They should replace that throughout the rest of the squad. But if we're talking about who should start at right back for Liverpool next season, for me, the superstar in waiting is Conor Bradley. You already have him at the club. He's already integrated into the culture. There's less of a risk from that perspective. But his skill set is so impressive. He still has some refinement to go, but he's definitely someone that could be at Liverpool for the long-term future. And then buy someone like Ola Aina, someone that can rotate in and out, still get a decent amount of minutes and help Conor Bradley in his development. And that will be Liverpool sorted for next season at least. And if it doesn't work out, then you go out for that top-tier right back. But in terms of players moving out of the club, one of them big players is Mo Salah potentially in the summer. And I've made a video here on how Liverpool can replace Mo Salah in their team next season. And I'll see you on the next episode of A Game of Two Halves.